to talk about when I first became a Christian. Right at the very first, I would tell people, there's a huge ball game being played, and there's two teams, and that's back when I used to tell people that, you're either all the way with God or you're all the way with Satan. There is no in between. There never was, and you can't be that way. That's one of Satan's lies. You can't believe, well, I believe in God, and my roommate moved out from me and left because I became a Christian, because she wanted to believe in God the way she wanted to believe in Him. Believing in she can do whatever she wants to do, and she doesn't have to be saved. She don't have to do this, and she don't, she doesn't have to, just has to believe in God. Believe there is one. That's her only belief that she thinks she has to have. And believe in reincarnation and believe in all these spirits contacting you and walking around and all kinds of stuff. And she moved out, and I couldn't do anything for her. All I can do is pray for her now.
Sure. And, I feel compelled, and I especially after doing the podcast, to just kind of do or kind of say that there are probably people out there that listen to this or will listen to the podcast we did with Lynn or this show, that deem themselves to be spiritual. Those people that believe they have a child who's an indigo or a crystal, those people who believe that they are Reiki healers, those people who believe that they're communicating with, aliens or have been on ships. There are spiritual people out there who need to understand that, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. There is nothing else. Everything else is deception. And so if they have this yearning for, spiritual things, if they have a desire to seek the spiritual, not to be deceived by these entities, but to really look deeply into the Bible and understand that there's a lot there. Everything is there, and they can find the answers to all the things that they're seeking if they'll just turn to God. I mean, here's Lynn, someone who was, having all of these experiences. She kind of had a front row seat or a backstage pass, however you want to look at it. She had no bad experiences with these entities, and it seemed like she was being lined up to be used in a big way, and she realized that she was on the wrong side of the fence and came to Christ. And I think, Lynn, you can say right now that you recognize that there's a lot more power and infinitely more truth in where you stand now than where you were then. And so, and my appeal would be to those people who deem themselves to be spiritual but want to do it in their own way. Don't do it. Take a look at the Bible. Write me, write Lynn, write Chris, write Ziggy, write Frank, write anybody, but get off of that fast track to hell, because that's exactly what it is. It's all a lie. It's all a deception, and really give God the chance He deserves. And I believe that He will show them all of what it is that they've been seeking for, and they'll find it in truth.
Perfectly said, Mark. That's perfectly said.
And also, I'd like to interject too that it's those people that are spiritual, that are the kind of people that that's kind of their thing, that they're spiritual. They should be proud of themselves in that, and a respect that most people don't consider anything. I mean, anything spiritual. There's an entire separate form of deception that has everything to do with never considering any of this stuff, or never wanting or yearning for or understanding or knowing anything of the spiritual realm. So I think that those people are the ones that have a greater, I don't know, I certainly want to say greater, that I think have a leaning towards, right. And I think that's why possibly they have a strong delusion sent to them because of that, their capability of being used in such a glorious way to have those that spiritual thirst quenched by Jesus Christ and all the power and glory of Him really fills that cup so full that you are that type of person can be just, used to the maximum ability of servitude. So in a way that there's an extra, like I'm sure, Lynn, like that's one reason I would see that a lot of the deception and a lot of your alien visitations were mostly pleasant, because they were walking on eggshells with you. They knew what you could be if you found out. So a lot of cases they would not allow probably their temptation to torture and to reveal themselves as evil to be shown to you. It was just more building on the deception to prove to you that they were all, so you could fight in their defense, sort of.
Right, because I think that they tried to kill me, you know, when I was 10 years old to try to keep me from doing what I'm doing right now. You know, I really do. Honestly, I do. I was electrocuted when I was 10 years old and died. I mean, I was dead, just completely dead. And I came back. My mom dropped me, and I had 7,200 volts go through my body. I got into one of the big highline wires and ran into it and hit it on my arm, and it killed me. And I think that, you know, I don't know, but, you know, I think everybody's got a purpose or something, you know. I believe that a lot of people don't believe that our lives are not planned out or anything, but I believe God has a purpose for us, every single one of us. And everybody plays a little part in this big game, you know, and it's all coming clear. And I think it was a big thing trying to keep me deceived, and I think, you know, it's like a lot of people, they can't understand how I gave up. They do not understand how I gave up all this alien contact and, you know, taking pictures of these incredible ships and all this. They can't understand how I did that and threw all that life away to become a Christian. They cannot understand it. It's the truth. They really, really can't understand it. You know, the lady that taught me everything, she just can't understand it. You know, she didn't get to publish my book, and she didn't get to make a bunch of money off of me, and she didn't get to do all that stuff. You know, and I don't have anything to do with her anymore. When I told her that everything was about God and it was all going back to the Bible, she says, I refuse to believe that. And I said, well, what you're doing there is a sin. And I said, you're going to have to answer for it. And she said, I just refuse to believe that. This is what I do for my living. I cannot stop this. I said, well, whatever, you know. I said, I'm washing my hands of it. I told you. So it's like, you know, the blood's off my hands. I told her.
Right.
Hey, Lynn, while you're here, let me ask you a really weird question.
Okay.
Did you feel at all that your experience with dying played any part in your, well, you used the word channeling before. Do you feel that, or did you feel rather that somehow changed you or made you more in tune with the spiritual, or no?
Yeah, I do. I think that I used to be able to, and I don't do it anymore at all, and I haven't in a long time. That ended probably about 2 years ago. But I used to leave my body all the time. And the first time it happened was in 2001. Now, I was brought up in a church. I was brought up in a Baptist church, and I was baptized when I was younger and accepted the Lord. I probably didn't do it the right way, you know, but I did it. Was baptized. I had a religious background, so when I first left my body in 2001, I had no idea what was happening, and it scared me to death. And that was back. The internet wasn't super big then. I don't even think I had a computer probably, and I didn't know where to go with it. And I called a library in Wichita, Kansas, and I said, I kind of described it. He said, oh, that's astral projection. And so I started looking it up, and I started talking to people on the computer later on, I guess whenever I was traveling, I traveled for a living back then. And I finally figured out and started talking to people. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was after 2001 because I know that's when that happened because it was the year that the Trade Center got hit, World Trade Center. But I had no idea what was going on. And I found out that people that have had near-death experiences that have actually died like that and come back are the ones that can leave their body at will. And I used to be able to lay down, and I don't know what I did. I can't even explain it. But I would leave my body, and this was not any demon possession, being up on the ceiling or wall or having anything on me or anything. I would just leave my body. And I used to practice. I used to go out and go outside the window and go straight up, and just the craziest things in my life has happened. You know, and I've never told all this stuff publicly ever before. I've told people I know, but as far as like telling people and getting on a radio show like this and telling people. I've never done that.
Lynn, I'll tell you that the astral projection is synonymous with, I was telling you about I don't know if you heard when I was talking about sleep paralysis, but it's kind of like sort of like alien abduction, like a milder form. But a lot of people, it's synonymous. They'll have astral projection where, as that's happening, and you look at a lot of the forums, and it's just awful. You hear people telling these people that are wondering about this, because they'll have these astral projection moments during sleep paralysis when there's like evil entities in the room, and you hear these forum posts of everybody telling them, "Oh yeah, that's good. If you're doing that, get out of your body completely, and go do all kinds of stuff, But it's like, oh no, don't do that. You want to get back on the forums and tell them not to, but. One thing, the reason I wanted to interject is that there's a guy I listen to a lot. He's on the Revelations Radio Network now, called Russ Dizdar, and he brought up a good point about astral projection and how that it was done through the help of demonic entities, that both in the good way and the bad way. Like, he shows a lot of things in the Bible where people left their body. It was always by the Spirit of the Lord, and he through various he's a deliverance minister. That is, he's done a lot of, I guess we would call them exorcisms, but a lot of the people that he's done exorcisms with are people that have been in a lot of military projects, like some of the stuff like you may have heard remote viewing and things like that.
Yeah.
Where they would leave their body, and they would have like angels that they would believe that well, a long story short, when these demons were taken out of the picture, astral projection was no longer possible, and that they would be forced to reveal themselves to the people that, like you, thought that they were angels of light. And during a deliverance sessions with some of these people, like especially the military individuals, and like told to show that person what they really looked like, and that would end the desire to do a lot of that stuff, because it was just, apparently they were quite hideous to the people that thought they were angels of light.
I never did see anybody around me, nothing like that. And like I said, I never had any bad experiences, but I think you hit the nail on the head of why. But I don't do that anymore. I don't have that feeling. It used to have, it started in my ears. And it would be like, how you open your throat up in the back of your back in the way back of your throat, and you kind of push your tongue down or something. I don't even know how to explain this, but it kind of pops your ears. That's how it started. That's how it always started, and I would be totally awake when this would happen. And this would happen certain places I would go, like at my mom's house. It was easier to do than it was any other time. And
was it ever associated with a noise, a buzzing, or anything like that?
A buzzing noise?
Yeah, no noise or anything like that?
No buzzing, but whenever I started pulling out of my body, it felt like, I don't know, I explained it one time like you were taking a sheet and you had it over my body and you were slowly, ever so slowly sliding it down. Down my body, and that's kind of what it felt like when you slipped out. But there was a dizziness about it. It was almost a spinning dizziness. And then, out I'd go. I used to do this a lot. I don't do that anymore. I don't want that anymore. I think that probably is something to do with demons, because in 2001, whenever I did that, I was living a very sinful life. I was not right with God. I just believed in God, kind of like my roommate. I just believed in God. That's it. But I was not doing right. I had quit drinking. And when I quit drinking in 2001, probably about a month or so after, I don't know really the time exactly, but somewhere after that is when I first did that, the very first time. And everybody's like, oh, that's great, you can do that. But I don't have that connected with people that have had near-death experiences.
I think Frank made a good point in asking that question, because, I've heard that also, that there was a correlation to those with the near-death experiences, and I think it's one of those situations where when something like that happens, and, maybe maybe first time